there, it's Laura. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel to check out today's process video. Today I'm working on a 12 by 12 scrapbooking layout process video, and this is a photograph of my sister that I'll be using. It was the weekend of her baby shower. She and I went to a local park to her town in Florida, which I was visiting from Charlotte where I live. And yeah, I took this gorgeous photo of her, and now I'm working on making a gorgeous layout to frame out the photo so she can keep it in a memory book. So for the title of this page, I'm going to have it say Baby Bump, and you can see that I grabbed those gorgeous big alphabet stickers from Me and My Big Ideas, and I put those down onto my page, and I use that as a template to cut out the letters. And I'm going to do this so that way there's a void there and I can fill it in with patterned paper. This is what I call the longer, much cheaper way of getting a silhouette type of title. I don't have a silhouette machine or any electronic die cutting machine. Way back in the day, I had a Cricut and I never used it, and it was so expensive to buy new cartridges. And it was so much work every time I wanted to use it. You have to buy the file, you have to find the file, you have to edit the file, and then you have to print and cut, and so much work. And I really do not have a fondness for electronic die cutting machines after that experience. So this is what I do. It takes a lot of time, but it is time well worth it because I always love how the layouts turn out. And I think it's just really cool when you spend a lot of time on something and you really love how it turns out at the end. It's kind of like a labor of love. So after I use my little cutting tool there and I cut out my title, I take the stickers off and I put them back in the sticker pack. And that's a fun way to get more use out of your alphabet stickers, is to use them to create a title like this and then actually take them away from the page so you can use them again later. It's pretty cool. I've done this so many times I can't even keep track, and it really helps you get more use out of your alphabet stickers, and then also not to have to go out and buy a $300 electronic die cutting machine. So like I said, it's a labor of love, but it is something I am happy to do, and I've always loved the results. So now I'm just going through my different patterned papers and thinking about how I want to back these letters. And I really love this gorgeous pink floral patterned paper, and I'm going to use that for some of my letters. And you'll see that how I end up doing this is I take my 12 by 12 paper that has my title on it, and I overlay that with my different patterned papers and kind of trace the shape of the letter that I need it to fill. And then I go through and I cut that out of the paper, and then I back it. I use glue to back that onto the back of my 12 by 12 layout there. And then I cut away all of the extra paper that might be overlapping into the next letter's space. One piece of advice I would share with you is to leave a little bit of space in between your letters if you do this. I did not leave a very big space between my letters, and that made it really hard to cut away the extra bit of paper there in between each of my letters so that way they didn't overlap. And it also made it a little bit difficult to back this paper with all of my little scrap papers to fill in those letters because there was such little paper around each letter for me to glue to stick my scraps of paper down to, if that makes any sense at all. The words kind of sound all jumbled up when I speak them, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. So anyway, I just experiment with lots of different patterned papers here. I take different colors and different patterns to see what looks good with my photograph and which papers look good next to each other. And I'm really excited. This layout used up quite a few little scraps of paper that I had sitting in my June Scrap My Stash Challenge kit. If you have not checked out that video, check it out. It's a whole series I did the whole month of June and going into July. I created this scrapbooking kit at the beginning of the month, and it was from my stash, and I wanted to use it all up and use as much of it as I can and get that stuff out of my stash and into a scrapbooking album. And I've made such good progress. We are now at the beginning of July, and that kit is almost entirely gone, and I'm moving on to a new one now. So I am so excited about how this project has gone, and I really love the results I've gotten. So I'm just gluing here, and then I cut the excess paper off from around my border, and you can see that I have a really, really beautiful, lovely title as the end result here with lots of different papers, and I love how it looks. So now I am just going to create a watercolor background for my photograph, and I wet the paper first. That way the paint will move around freely and kind of flow around. And I think I added too much water to my paints as well. And so this ends up looking a little bit sloppy, and that's okay. Some layouts are messy and some are perfect. This one's a little bit messy with the watercolor. I just need to create a photo mat for my layout and then embellish my page as I see fit. So I grabbed this beautiful paper that I used for the pink letters down at the bottom of the page for my title. And this is another great tip. If ever you need papers that coordinate together, use the front and the back of the same paper in a collection. So that beautiful pink down at the bottom of the page is the opposite side of this 12 by 12 paper that has this gorgeous light mint color with little white crosses on it. And they coordinate so well together. They're not perfectly matchy. They're totally different colors, but they're made to coordinate together. So they look really gorgeous on the same page together. So I use some of the paper to do my little alphabets there at the bottom of the page, and now I'm using the other side of it to create this photo mat for my photograph. And you can see it looks super pretty there. That mint color is just gorgeous. And one of the things that I want to use up completely this month is all that leftover Maggie Holmes chipboard stickers that I have. I have a whole sheet there with different chipboard stickers from different Maggie Holmes packs, and I just want to get them used up. Some of these are from older collections that I've had in my stash for years. So I end up using a ton of these chipboard stickers on this layout, and I could not be more pleased about it. I think it looks really beautiful in the end. One thing that I do kind of have an issue with at this point in the layout is that my watercolor background there is more of a reddish purpley pink, and down at the bottom of the page, that pink is like a coral orangish kind of pink. And there are two totally different undertones at the bottom of the page. We have a warm pink, and then at the top of the page, we have the cool pink. So I'm going to have to try to tie this in, and you'll see I do that. I've got that little banner chipboard piece up at the top of the page I put there, and it's got some gold on it, and that's a warm color to bring some warm into the rest of the page from the bottom of the title. I also end up adding some gold sequins and some different brads to this layout that help tie in both the cool pink colors and the warm pink colors. That way they go together a little bit more eloquently than they look right now. And I grab a chipboard piece from the Crepe Paper Oasis line, and that's another chipboard 12 by 12 pack that I'm trying to use up this month that I have had great success with. I'm so excited. If you have not checked out all the videos in this series, you've got to do it. It's so much inspiration for getting rid of things that have been sitting in your stash that you want to use up and actually make stuff with instead of having the supplies just sit there. And it's a great way to get your creative juices flowing and get really prolific in making some beautiful stuff for your scrapbooks. Brads are one of those things from my stash that are so old. I have these old packs from my mind's eye that must be like 5 years old now, 6 years old. They are so old and they're beautiful, but brads are so much work. You have to pre-slice the paper and push your brad through, and then you have to bend the back side. And enamel dots are so much easier and they look almost exactly the same. So I don't use brads that much. So they were something I included in this kit this month because I really want to get them used up, and I'm excited I used a ton of them on this layout. And I also used up one of those cute burlap bows from that 6-pack that I had. And I'm excited because that's one of the things I end up using up completely from my stash this month. They are all gone, and it feels so good to make a dent in my stash like that. So I felt like the page was missing something. That title wasn't standing out after I put everything else down onto the page. But I couldn't hand sew a nice little border around those letters because, like I mentioned earlier, there just wasn't enough space between each of the letters. So what I ended up doing was grabbing a pen and outlining each of those letters. And I think that really helps them to stand out a little more and the title's a lot more obvious. So after I do that, I finish off my page with some handwritten journaling down there in the bottom left corner above my title. And then I add some sequins to finish it off because every page needs a little bit of sparkle. So I hope you have enjoyed this process video and that it has given you some ideas on how to scrap your stash and how to make something really gorgeous in a new way. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Please make sure to like this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the fun creative projects that I share. And make sure to check out my June Scrap My Stash Challenge Kit and all the videos in this series. They are so cool and so much inspiration is awaiting you. Thank you so much for following along. Bye!